No one ever wants to admit it, but it happens every single year in fantasy football. People are out there in their draft room making selections just based off of the top players that are available. They'll sort by some projected stats that have no history of being anywhere near accurate and just make some random selections. But sometimes if you want to be successful in this game, you have to look at things that other people don't. Very rarely are some of the analytics that you need to be looking at actually available in your fantasy football draft room. That's why today I'm just going to show you one way to expand your thought process when you're looking for running backs on draft day. That's right, that's why today we're going to be looking at some running backs that actually fight for those extra yards. And why do those matter? Well, yards equal fantasy points, and the last time I checked, yep, fantasy points is why we're here in the first place. We need some running backs that are going to give themselves some chances of breaking off some of those big runs by breaking tackles. We want a running back room full of them dogs that are going to help fight for our fantasy football team each and every week. And here are 3 of those metrics that you can look at to help you find some of those types of running backs. We have yards after contact per attempt. We got to go on a per attempt basis, right? Some of these guys got a lot more volume than others. We got to even the playing field here. How about rush attempts per broken tackle, and then breakaway run rate, which is really the percentage of carries that resulted in 15 plus yards. Now, as a little bit of a teaser here, there were only 3 running backs in the entire NFL that finished top 10 in all 3 of these metrics. Now, in order to do this, I had to set a minimum carry threshold of 100 carries. I couldn't have some guys out there that got like 15 carries absolutely dominate these metrics. They didn't have much of an opportunity. I'm not trying to skew a bunch of numbers here. We're trying to find some facts to make us better fantasy football players. Now, if this is the type of content you enjoy, do me a favor, hit the like button right now and consider subscribing if you haven't already. If this video can reach 500 plus likes, I'm going to give a free 2024 fantasy football draft guide to somebody down below in the comment section. So hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's dive into a few of these metrics. And let's go ahead and start off with yards after contact per rush attempt. Now, this is the amount of yardage that a running back gains per rush attempt after initial contact from a defender. We're trying to limit the amount of guys on your fantasy roster that maybe miss out on some of those higher upside plays because they go down so easily due to contact. But remember, we need to do this on a per attempt basis. Make sure the playing field is level and not just favors the guys who get more volume. So with the minimum 100 carry threshold here are the top 20 running backs from 2023 in yards after contact per attempt. Right at the top, it's Devon Achane of the Miami Dolphins at 3 yards per attempt after contact. Not really what you would expect, right? He's a smaller guy, but he's breaking so many big runs, he's racking up yardage after contact. What about Jonathan Taylor at number 2 at 2.7 yards? That's somewhat understandable, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, another smaller type of guy, but he's so explosive. When he does break a tackle, he's getting huge yardage. How about Zamir White at 2.3, followed by Breece Hall, Aaron Jones at 2.2, a group of people here at 2.1, but you can really see that all these guys are fairly close. Even number 20 was Zach Charbonnet of the Seattle Seahawks at 1.9. Actually, you have 5 guys here at the bottom at 1.9. A lot of people super close. But I'm sure a lot of you out there are like, man, 1.9, 2 yards, is that really that big of a deal? 2 yards after contact per attempt? Over 200 attempts, that's 400 extra yards they got by just fighting through contact. Now, I don't know about you, but I would definitely take that extra yardage any day of the week. All right, let's move on to our next metric now. How about we go down to rush attempts per broken tackle? And I really love this metric. It's another good one to look at. How frequent does a running back break a tackle? Because that's really important to know. It's the broken tackles that have that higher probability of turning into big plays. So here are the top 20 running backs in the NFL last season in rush attempts per broken tackle. And right at the top, holy crap, Jaylen Warren. He was breaking a tackle every 5.5 rush attempts. attempts. Now, obviously, he doesn't get huge volume, but that number is absolutely crazy. It's definitely hard to bring down Jaylen Warren. How about James Conner? 7.7. Still, anything under sub 10 here is absolutely elite. But as we go further down the list, we see Achane once again at 7.9. Najee Harris, 8.5. How about both Pittsburgh running backs inside the top 4 in this metric? Then we had Travis Etienne at 8.6, Jahmyr Gibbs at 8.7, Jerome Ford at 9.7, Khalil Herbert, he may not even have a job this year, he was at 10.2. But even as we go through the remainder of this top 20, all these guys are 13 or lower, which means they're breaking tackles at least every 13 carries. I mean, look at the likes of Derrick Henry, right? That's really what he's known for, right? Breaking tackles. He's at 12-2. Then we got guys like Breece Hall with a higher average, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, both inside the top 11. A lot of these guys really benefit from those broken tackles, and they give us that better opportunity at the big play. But all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next metric now, which is breakaway run rate. Now, many of you may not even know what this metric is unless you've been here for a while. This is the percentage of carries that result in a run of 15 plus yards. The higher frequency of big plays we get, the less reliable we are as fantasy football players on huge volume, especially at the running back position when we can't count on huge volume all the time with so many split backfields. We need the guys that bust off the big ones the most consistently. So here are the top 20 running backs in the NFL for last season in 2023 in breakaway run rate. Right at the top again, holy crap, Devon Achane and Jahmyr Gibbs once again. Even Jaylen Warren at number 3 here. We're starting to notice a little bit of something, aren't we? When we started this show, when I started this research even, I expected a little bit more of the Derrick Henrys, of the Breece Halls, of the Saquon Barkleys, the guys who are really known for breaking tackles, for being tough runners, but we're seeing a lot of these smaller, explosive type running backs dominate these metrics. We see Christian McCaffrey at number 4 at 7.4%. So the fact that Jaylen Warren, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane are all above Christian McCaffrey, that's definitely something to pay attention to. How about Tajay Spears at 7%? We were all aboard the Spears bandwagon heading into 2024. Now they've brought in Tony Pollard. That's definitely cooled off a little bit. Raheem, I'm not quite a must-start. Mostert, he's at 6.7% back in Miami in that same backfield as Achane. Once again, James Conner at 6.3%. It's a better number than Derrick Henry and Najee Harris. But as we go through the remainder of the top 20 here, you can see these numbers start to go sub 5. Once you really go sub 5, it's basically average in the NFL. We're really looking for something above 5 if possible. So all right, now that we've looked at the top 20 for each one of those metrics, what are the names that stood out the most? Here are the names that finished inside the top 20 in all 3 metrics. We had the likes of Devon Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs, Najee Harris, Zamir White, Breece Hall, Derrick Henry, James Conner, Jaylen Warren, and Zach Charbonnet. They all finished top 20 in all 3 of these metrics, but now we need to dial it down a little bit more. How about top 10 in each one of these categories? Well, there were only 3 running backs. It was Devon Achane, top 3 in all 3 categories. They just brought back Raheem Mostert there in Miami. Does that really hurt the potential upside of Achane? I think we saw last season that they can coexist in this high-powered offense. The bigger question is, can he stay healthy all year long? How about Jahmyr Gibbs? He finished top 6 in all 3 categories, and really no reason to expect anything different in Detroit this season. But then the third one surprises a lot of people, myself included. It's Najee Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He finished 9th in 2 of the 3 categories, so he barely made it, but he's definitely in there. But now he's in an Arthur Smith-led offense, and they just brought over Cordero Patterson. We saw Jaylen Warren's name a lot in this show as well. How does that affect Najee Harris? It didn't overly affect him last year, and really when it comes to his ADP, his draft price, he's not going to be bad in 2024. But there were some other notable high finishers that I want to highlight as well, like James Conner. He was top 7 in 2 of the 3 categories, and once again, he has the clear lead role in the backfield of the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey. He was top 7 in 2 of the 3 categories as well. More than likely, he'll be the number 1 overall drafted running back in 2024. How about Breece Hall? He was top 5 in 1 category and top 13 in the other 2. He's starting this year healthy in an overall better offense with the Jets. I know a lot of people hate Aaron Rodgers, but I'm sorry, that offense is going to be better with Aaron Rodgers. I don't care if he's 50 than what it was last year with that hodgepodge of quarterbacks that they had. And then lastly, the guy we talked about a lot, it's Jaylen Warren, top 3 in 2 of the 3 categories. But once again, he's in that split backfield now in a new offense with Arthur Smith. I guess we could say this, not a whole lot to throw to right now in Pittsburgh. Deontay Johnson no longer there. Maybe they go heavy run. They go old school Steeler football, defense and running the football. I think Jaylen Warren at this point has earned a role in this offense to where we're going to see him getting right around 10 to 12 to 15 touches or so a week. But there is a wild card that I do want to mention because there was a name that continually came up as I was doing my research, but I couldn't include him because he didn't reach that 100 carry threshold. It's Keaton Mitchell of the Baltimore Ravens. He would have, had he had that 100 carry threshold minimum, he would have finished first in every single metric we talked about here today. But what is his role in this backfield now in Baltimore? Now they've added Derrick Henry. Now, Keaton Mitchell was never going to be a huge volume type of guy. And we know that Derrick Henry's getting a little bit older. So if Keaton Mitchell is healthy, based off of what we saw from him just last season, you have to expect that the Baltimore Ravens are going to try to work him in weekly once again. He's just not going to get a whole lot of touches, so he's going to need those big plays. But once again, really similar to Devon Achane, this dude needs to stay healthy. If he's not on the field each and every week, his chances of really putting up any type of fantasy football production are going to be highly limited. All right, now let's go ahead and look at their projected ADP. Which one of these guys can we get cheapest on draft day? Well, we know Achane, a lot of people want a piece of this Miami offense, and this dude's ADP has absolutely skyrocketed. He's all the way up, projected 2nd round pick in 2024. He's going to be expensive, just like Jahmyr Gibbs. As of right now, projected end of the 1st round for his ADP. What about Najee Harris? He's going to be cheap. A lot of people don't think Najee Harris is very sexy. They look at what he did and they think it's boring, but the guy didn't have a bad fantasy season whatsoever. As of right now, projected 7th round, same as James Conner into the 7th round as well. Those are 2 names that I'm probably going to own a lot of in 2024. They're not flashy, they're not sexy, but they're super valuable at that point of your fantasy football draft. After that, we have CMC. We know he's going in the 1st round. Breece Hall, another guy, super expensive in 2024. He's going to be a mid to late round 1st round pick as well. And then Jaylen Warren, the latest of this group, I guess you could say, into the 8th round. But we do know that his volume isn't going to be there. He's going to need some big time plays to be someone that you can really rely on starting weekly. If we want to throw Keaton Mitchell into the mix here, as of right now, he's projected 14th round. Now, obviously, with the addition of Derrick Henry, it's pushed him way down draft boards, and a lot of people have forgotten about him. At the end of a draft, if I'm looking for a potential lottery ticket, though, Keaton Mitchell is definitely not a name you want to forget about. All right, so in conclusion, this is not the end-all, be-all when it comes to drafting running backs. There are a lot of metrics to look at, and we're going to be looking at them all throughout the offseason. I guarantee if you stick around here for the next few months, you're going to learn things about this game that you had never even thought about thinking about. Remember, one of the keys to fantasy football is not filling out your roster with the same type of players. Have some boom or bust guys. Have some less sexy, safer guys. Try to have a good balance. Just maybe, if at all possible, you can find some of those quote-unquote safer guys that possess some of the qualities of those higher boom or bust type players. Guys like we looked at today. Obviously, we found out that the likes of James Conner and Najee Harris are similar to the likes of maybe Devon Achane and Jahmyr Gibbs when it comes to some of these metrics. Because I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. If you draft too much risk, more times than not, it's going to lead to disappointment than absolute joy. But I want to know what you think down below in the comment section. Remember, we have a like goal on this video. If we can get 500 likes, I'm going to give a random commenter down below a free 2024 fantasy football draft guide that will help you absolutely dominate all things fantasy in 2024. Some big announcements coming out with our draft guide in the very near future as well. You're going to have to get yours. It's probably going to be our biggest and best that we've ever had. And if you've bought the draft guide before, leave a comment down below and let everybody know what you thought of it. The reviews for the past few years have been absolutely great, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here today. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, and then most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place.